Law Simplified with Justice, the new informative, educative, and thought-provoking program is what you need to keep abreast with law and politics. This exciting and truly refreshing program is anchored by Justice Maduforo, a solicitor.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a soul-searching discussion here with my colleague. We've been dissecting sole responsibility under the individual rule, those under 18 and those above 18 years of age as well.
Law Simplified with Justice understands that law is a powerful driver to human behavior. It is therefore poised to simplify the law and get you to take action.
Bring it to your doorstep and simplify it the way that you will understand.
Contact Justice by calling 07931 727 597 or email lawsimplifiedwithjustice@yahoo.co.uk. Law Simplified with Justice, bringing the best to the audience.
Now, using this word, I have no knowledge, is this just sufficient to say I have no knowledge? Would this offender or the person suspect expects to go deeper to explain this lack of knowledge other than just a theoretical lack of knowledge? Because the court has, over the years, found it very difficult to just come in to say, my defense is lack of knowledge. I have no knowledge of this. Will the circumstances that build up to such receipt of this item be called into play?
Oh, absolutely, because simply saying lack of knowledge wouldn't be sufficient to defend yourself for this sort of offence. You'd have to look at all the circumstances using the money transfer into a bank situation. They look at the circumstances in which the money went in,
right.
Who the person came from, whether any checks have been engaged by the person who received the money. It has to be enough information to show that there was no suspicion,
right.
which is obviously a lot wider than knowledge.
So the knowledge is there and the suspicion is there. So that's correct.
Yes.
In dealing with the knowledge there, obviously, the person is a definite term because
yes.
the individual is expected to know that this definitely is. And the other aspect of it, the other leg of it, is that suspicion, which you were trying to explain. The suspicion there is that, so that means this individual, the suspect, so to say, let me use this word now, or the offender, so to say at this stage now, all he needs to do, or what the law requires of this person, is a suspect.
Yes, exactly.
So in the situation where this person suspects, but the suspicion has been taken care of on the fact that, oh, it is not the way I suspect it to be. After all, it is legitimate earning. In that circumstance, this offender can go further to explain, as you rightly said, the circumstances leading to this receipt, because it's very important. Because one of the cases I dealt with, the offender found it difficult to deal with the circumstances leading to this, the build up to this receipt. And then afterward, what happened to this receipt of this money from this account? And that's another key area people deal with here. And how will the offender look at the suspicion? What are the things that can flag up this suspicion?
Well, the source of the money is one of the things as well. One of the things the police will look at is if the person who's giving the money is someone that you do not know, then the police may think, well, if you're taking money from a stranger you've only just met, that could flag an initial suspicion. That's one of the primary things that people may look into.
Right. Okay, so that's the basic aspect of it. We're dealing with that. Now, obviously, we are dealing with only solely today assisting another to retain the benefit
yes.
of crime. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been discussing money laundering. Money laundering is a very serious offense, as I did mention earlier. And so once the police have come into contact with the person is suspected of having committed this offense, the first stage is the investigation, in which the person will be arrested and taken to the police station to interview or to ask questions regarding this offense. Afterwards, the police would either make a decision there through the help of the Crime Prosecution Service. If there is enough evidence on the face of it to take this matter further, then that individual is charged to court. This matter can be dealt with in court from there. Now, having discussed that, this offense, we have several court systems in this country. This sort of offense for money laundering, which court deals with this offense?
It's an either way offence, so you can go to the Magistrates' Court or the Crown Court. Were you to be convicted in the Magistrates' Court, the maximum sentence is 6 months.
Right.
The Crown Court has a maximum sentence of up to 14 years. But more often than not, cases tend to go to the Crown Court because they have a thing called confiscation proceedings which follow.
Yeah, I was coming there. Okay, that's fine. No, go on. I was just coming to mention the confiscation there.
Confiscation, as you may be aware, is where the prosecuting authorities will try to seize any assets which they say are the proceeds of crime.
Right.
And the difficulty there is this was first brought in to tackle the people at the top of the chain.
Right.
The people who were seen as untouchable by the law. The idea the government would go after their assets instead in a different way.
Yeah.
However, the reality is it's a lot wider than that. And even if you're just a small person on the scale of criminality,
right,
you can find yourself liable for the whole enterprise.
Fantastic. Right. The confiscation there is what I was coming to discuss. Confiscation is a very important aspect of the leg of this proceedings after the individual has been convicted. Obviously, that's after the conviction. The confiscation proceedings takes place, obviously, to deal with the fact that primarily to ensure that this individual, whatever he has benefited from this criminal property which he has retained or kept or amassed by himself, is stripped off by the government and then is taken away from this individual. That's basically what it is.
Exactly. So it's very difficult. So even if a person may be convicted and receive a relatively light sentence, for example, the government will still go after that person's assets.
Absolutely.
And the most difficult part is it's a reverse burden.
Absolutely.
When you're facing a criminal charge, it's beyond a reasonable doubt, so you can be sure. The prosecution have to prove that. But for confiscation, you have to prove the legitimate sources of your income.
Absolutely. Legitimate source of the income is a very important aspect you need to understand here. Ladies and gentlemen, as we've been discussing money laundering with our counsel, Mr. Fitzpatrick, he's given us an in-depth opinion of what he thought this money laundering and his surrounding procedures is or would be like. Now, the question is that once an individual, as I was mentioning earlier on, has been arrested, investigated, and then charged to court, then the next process there is and is convicted, for instance, then, therefore, other things, the chain reactions will follow. That is one of them will be that of confiscation proceedings. Means that this individual will have to account of all his earnings and of his property and investment and assets that he has, approximately over the 6 years period, to account as to how he got those properties. And if there is no legitimate response and excuse or explanation, then those assets will be confiscated, basically what it means, and then it will be taken. This individual will forfeit those properties to the government. So it is a chain reaction that moves, and that's why it's important that you harness it from the beginning, which is why this program, Law Simplified with Justice, comes your way. What it is to do, we are simplifying the law, make it easy for you, get you to take action. If you are on the investigation of this kind of nature, then you don't need to sit down and wait for the D-Day when you'll be given a letter that you've been charged. If you're facing information, you're facing requisitions, or you're facing queries from the Department of Works and Pension, or from the whichever body, or the Customs and Exercise, and Magistrate Revenue and Custom, whatever you're facing through that have to deal with this matter, it's important that you engage. It's important that you seek legal advice from the beginning, because whatever you do say at that beginning part of it will amount and will affect your case in the future. That is why this program has been masked out. As I said earlier on, law is a powerful driver. If you don't engage in it, it will drive you to the point that you will end up in prison. But if you engage well with it and follow, seek proper advice, you get yourself at least a favorable decision outcome at the end of the day. That's why we're here. Law Simplified with Justice. As you know, I do it all the time here, bringing the best to discuss this case with you. Now, Mr. Fitzpatrick, we're still on this issue of money laundering.
Yes.
Now, with the issue of the assisting another to retain this property. Now, what about institutions where somebody have acquired this property, somebody has made a illegitimate earning and have kept the property to himself, and that is part of money laundering as well?
Yes, even that would fall within the scope of it. In its most simplest form, people think of actually moving the money to another place, converting it. That's what the media portrays mostly. But simply having money delivered into your account or holding onto money, that in itself falls within the scope of money laundering.
Right.
And therefore the consequences are the same, potentially conviction and potentially confiscation after that.
Right.
Law Simplified with Justice, the new informative, educative, and thought-provoking program is what you need to keep abreast with law and politics. This exciting and truly refreshing program is anchored by Justice Maduforo, a solicitor.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a soul-searching discussion here with my colleague. We've been dissecting sole responsibility under the individual rule, those under 18 and those above 18 years of age as well.
Law Simplified with Justice understands that law is a powerful driver to human behavior. It is therefore poised to simplify the law and get you to take action.
Bring it to your doorstep and simplify it the way that you will understand.
Contact Justice by calling 07931 727 597 or email lawsimplifiedwithjustice@yahoo.co.uk. Law Simplified with Justice, bringing the best to the audience.